Okay, so what's Louisa been up to then since the events of the last series finale?
Yes, so series 3, at the end of series 3, Louisa has to leave town, really. I think she feels very, maybe a bit humiliated and mostly sad about what's happened between her and Martin, and the fact that, you know, the wedding didn't go ahead, and that they both basically jilted one another. Bit embarrassed, too much village gossip going on, has to get out of town. So she's got a friend in London who offered her a post at her school. So she goes to teach in a primary school in London. And whilst she's there, although I think she manages okay, I think something happens when she's there that makes her realise that she has to come back to Port Wen, and that she does actually need to have the support network of her hometown and her village, and to be with her friends. And the first person she goes to visit when she gets back into town, really even before she's dumped her bags or even worked out where she's going to live, is Martin, because she feels she should really talk to him because she's got some stuff to tell him. And when she knocks on the door, she's very surprised and appalled to see that he has a woman in the house and that he's entertaining a lady. She's very perturbed by that, I think, because that's the last thing that she would have expected. I think while she didn't want to get back together with Martin, she was just sort of hoping that they could maybe have an initial chat and that she could share her news with him. But she sort of gets seen off by the situation, really, and sort of scuttles off downhill and realises that she has to have a bit of a rethink. So that's sort of how the series starts for Louisa.
Okay, and what's her relationship with Martin like going forward then after their history?
Well, they haven't spoken at all when she's been in London. They've sort of let the 6 months pass without talking to one another and giving each other a little bit of space. I don't think through any hard feeling, but just through kind of allowing the situation to settle. So when she comes back and finds that he's what looks like in a relationship to her, they sort of go back to a kind of dynamic where she's assumed something about him and behaves accordingly, and he then, you know, has a response to that, and the two of them are in a situation throughout the series where often they're not communicating, and she puts all the blame on to Martin and his kind of deficient personality and perhaps never really looks closely at how she misreads him.
Okay. And how does she get on with this new woman, Edith?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky with Edith. I think she finds Edith very frosty and a bit snooty, and I think even if she found Edith really easy to get on with, I think she'd internally feel some difficult feelings about the fact that, you know, she's kind of looks like she's very keen on Martin, and I think Louisa thinks that maybe Edith's manipulating the situation, even though she has no grounds to believe that. I think she has a sort of sneaky suspicion that Edith is trying to work the situation to her advantage, and I think Louisa finds that very irritating.
Okay. Were you a little disappointed that the characters didn't get married last series, or do you think it was always inevitable?
No, I think it was completely right that they didn't get married, and I was really pleased for both of them that they'd realised. And it was, in fact, when I heard that they were going to get married, I was really shocked. So it made so much more sense to me, and it showed that they really, that they have a sort of real care and love for each other and respect, and I think it showed that they had a lot more sort of integrity in the action of not getting married than actually getting married, because I think that was a sort of an unrealistic fantasy that wouldn't have worked. I just don't believe for a moment at that point that they could possibly have kind of just cast aside all the things that they found difficult about each other and sort of progressed through life together. It didn't feel at all right. So whilst I know some people were disappointed with that idea, I think it's much more true to their characters that they didn't get married.
I think it was interesting that both of them decided that rather than just him.
Yeah, rather than just him, or rather than just her.
She seemed to have more of a thing for him than the other way around.
Only because she perhaps gives more away. You don't know what goes on internally for the doc. That was Louisa's problem in the end. That's why she felt that she needed more than he could give her, and I think she agreed to marry him, believing that he would change. And I think it was when she realised that she couldn't change him. Was when she realised she couldn't be with him.
Okay. Do you think, though, eventually, in the grand scheme of the show, they're destined to be together?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? I don't know is the answer to that question.
Okay, but many things could come between them, such as this series. The big thing is he's moving back to London, potentially. How would she feel about that news?
The news about him being, even though she comes back not wanting to be with him but needing to talk to him. She's very disappointed that he's with somebody else. She doesn't want to be with him, but she doesn't want him to leave either. These are all the complicated feelings that she has to manage through the series. There's a lot of contradictions, and that really her feelings for him are not resolved. Okay. And that's kind of what makes it quite an interesting journey for her through the series, I think.
Okay, and for you personally then, what was it like coming back to Port Isaac after such a long time away?
Great, it was lovely. I loved it. It's just nice living in a sort of beautiful rural place by the sea, and being out of a big city, having some. Whilst I love living in London and I would never move away, I don't think, it's great to have the opportunity to spend some time away, and to be in a completely different environment. It was beautiful, and I joined the rowing club, the Port Isaac Rowing Club, and didn't get to row with them as much as I'd like to, but I did get out quite a few times. Absolutely gorgeous. Went fishing, caught mackerel. It's just sort of a lovely existence, going on loads of walks and going out on a boat, rowing and sailing and, catching fish. Quite like that. It's good.
Do you relocate for the period then?
Yeah. Do a bit of toing and froing to see the family in London, and the family do lots of toing and froing to come and hang out with me in Cornwall, so a bit of both really.
Okay, and finally then, what do you think is the future of Doc Martin? It seems like this could be an ending for the series.
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. You never know, do you?
You're keen to do more though?
I'd love to. If that was possible. We'll see.